Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. Well, it has been 2 weeks now since the Freeman High School shooter pleaded guilty to murder. And today we have learned just how many people plan to share their victim impact statements in court.
Here's a hint. The process is expected to stretch on for several days. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley shares what we can expect in the coming weeks.
Judge Michael Price tentatively scheduled 2 weeks worth of victim impact statements ahead of the Freeman school shooter sentencing. We'll begin to hear those statements on Monday, January 24th.
Spokane County prosecutors expect 150 people will share their statements in person or over Zoom.
I think the sooner that we can start on setting these up and using the time wisely since we have it, that would be certainly something that the state would prefer.
Judge Michael Price told attorneys he wants to be as accommodating as possible to give everyone a chance to share their statements.
This is a very flexible schedule.
The shooter pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and second-degree assault as part of a plea agreement. His sentencing is not expected to begin until March. Criminal lawyer and Gonzaga Law adjunct professor Jeffrey Feiner confirms Sharp could face between 25 years and the rest of his life in prison for the aggravated murder charge. But he says life without parole is not an option. Feiner explained that under new federal rulings, if an offender commits a crime while under the age of 18, they cannot be sentenced to life without a chance of release. Sharp was 15 when he opened fire in the hallway of Freeman High School in the fall of 2017. He killed his classmate Sam Strahan and injured 3 other students.
The schedule for the victim impact statements is expected to get finalized this Friday. We'll keep you updated on any changes. Reporting from the Spokane County Courthouse, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Well, in other news, police have identified the car involved in a deadly hit and run just outside of Newport yesterday. Around 6:45 yesterday afternoon, police got a call saying a woman had been hit on State Route 2 and was just lying in a snowbank. When emergency crews arrived, that woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Troopers believe she was walking on the side of the state highway when the car hit her, then backed up and immediately left the scene. Newport police have located the car as well as its owner. The car is being taken into evidence now for processing, but so far no arrests have been made.
It's fair to say that people who know the force know that the time to act for significant improvement to change the trajectory of our wildfires and its impact on people, communities, forests, and on firefighters is actually long overdue.
Confronting the nation's wildfire crisis, the Biden administration announced a new 10-year solution. The plan, called the Wildfire Crisis Strategy, aims to make some 50 million acres of forest healthier and more resilient to fires. Under the plan, the Forest Service will treat up to 20 million additional acres of land each year. Washington is among the top priority states to get the new treatment. The U.S. Department of Agriculture estimates the new efforts could cost more than $50 billion. In other news, an explosion inside a tent at a homeless camp near Feltsfield sent a man and a woman to the hospital yesterday. It's believed to have happened after the two were using propane to heat their tent.
So KREM 2's Ian Smay spoke with the city now about how they're checking on potentially hazardous conditions at camps like that. He's joining us now in the newsroom with more. Ian?
Spokane fire crews responded to that explosion near North Waterworks Street and East Suro Avenue shortly after 3 o'clock on Monday. The man and woman injured in that explosion were taken to a local hospital, and the Spokane Fire Department didn't have an update on their condition today. Spokane Fire Chief Brian Schaefer said it's believed the 2 people hurt in the explosion were possibly using a propane tank to heat the tent they were living in. A slow leak may have started, which Schaefer says may have been sparked by someone lighting a cigarette. He said the explosion may be the worst of its kind that the fire department has responded to.
This isn't the first one that we've experienced, but it is the worst in terms of consequences and injuries to humans.
Schaefer also said there were about 40 people living along the river near where the explosion happened, and that it appeared that the camp had been there for a while. He said a regional approach is needed to tackle the homelessness issue going forward.
The reality is it's complex, meaning that there are as many solutions to the challenge as there are challenges that need a solution here.
City spokesperson Brian Coddington said that when it comes to doing safety or welfare checks on these types of encampments, it depends on where they are. Regular checks through code enforcement and the Spokane Police Department are done on camps visible in the downtown core. But when it comes to those in more remote parts of the city, it's dependent on complaints. Coddington said December 7th through the 9th was the last time they responded to a complaint near North Waterworks Street and East Surrow Avenue.
Typically what happens in that area is people from across the river on the north side of the river see activity on the south side, either smoke or they see a gathering of tents in the area.
Code enforcement will usually take away trash at the request of those living in the camps when they respond to those complaints. However, when it comes to dealing with dangerous situations, Coddington said it's complicated.
Well, it's a fine line to make sure that you're being respectful of the individual there, but you're also looking out for their health and safety. In extreme cases, there are measures that can be taken, but in most everyday type occurrences, it's a conversation to help that person.
He said they don't usually confiscate things that could lead to a dangerous situation, but they do take away dangerous materials on occasion for safety reasons. When it comes to what happened Monday, Coddington said the city wasn't alerted to the dangerous conditions. Was there a way for the city to prevent something like what happened over the weekend at Waterworks in Surrow?
Again, these are complaint-driven activities, and code enforcement does come through when there's a complaint received, and Spokane Fire does respond when there's a complaint received. And these are things that are regularly done within the city.
The Spokane County Sheriff's Office said they also check on homeless encampments when they receive calls about them. In the newsroom, Ian Smay, KREM 2 News.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. We want to take a quick break from the headlines now because a lot of heavy snowflakes came down for about an hour today. A lot of people probably thinking, oh no, here we go again. Turned out not to be the case, but it is still pretty cold out there.
My kids called them big fluffy flakes at my house on the South Hill. Meteorologist Tom Sherry joining us now. Tom, I think that's a meteorological term I just had.
Absolutely, and if it isn't, it should
technical.
be one,
Right. But should we expect more snow or rain going forward now?
I think on Thursday is another chance of wet weather. Late Wednesday night into Thursday. So right now we're still above freezing at 34 degrees, and tomorrow we could even get a little bit of a weak, snow event moving through. Again, nothing that would provide any kind of accumulation, but our best chance of getting real soaking rains and maybe snowfall as well. Looks like it's going to be late Wednesday night into Thursday. You can see that weather system is just offshore right now. We still are seeing snow falling to the south of us in southern Spokane County, and you can see it's the snow extending all the way across the southern portion of the county into Plummer, Idaho, and that, so down there you're going to be running into maybe some slippery roads. We'll look for that snow, as I said before, to develop late Wednesday night into Thursday. Looks like it's mostly rain for us here in Spokane as we look for a daytime high of 38. Should be mostly dry weather on Friday and a high of 37. I'll check your weekend forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Sounds good, Tom. Thank you very much. Now to some breaking news from Providence tonight on the situation at local hospitals. Starting tomorrow, no visitors will be allowed at Sacred Heart and Holy Family hospitals. There will be exceptions for maternity, children, and end-of-life situations.
Now, Providence also will not be offering any public COVID-19 testing because they say there just aren't enough supplies right now or staff. Also, 10 members of the Washington National Guard will be arriving at Sacred Heart this coming Friday. The Guard is going to be there to assist staff in non-clinical roles. They'll be deployed there for the next 30 days.
The news from Providence comes as Spokane County once again reporting high coronavirus cases, but they're not as high as we saw last week. More importantly, though, hospitalizations do continue to increase. The latest drop in numbers shows 242 new cases reported today. Right now, 153 people are hospitalized, according to the health district. Now, that's an increase of 24 people just since Friday. And there was a lot of talk about when the current surge of cases in Washington will reach its peak. According to the University of Washington Health Metrics, we could soon see that peak.
KREM 2's Janelle Finch spoke with a UW health expert on what this actually means here for the next few months. Janelle?
Take a look at how the University of Washington predicted when we would be seeing the peak of COVID-19 infections. Scientists predicted the U.S. would hit its peak on January 3rd and our state would hit its peak on January 16th. Now that we're on the other side of this, one Washington health expert told me this is the beginning of the end.
It's going to get really worse before it's going to get better.
Washington health experts say the next 3 months will be the hardest on our community and health officials.
50% of our population in the state will be infected in 3 months. So all the infections of COVID-19 before Omicron will happen in 3 months. Total number of infections that we had before will happen in 3 months. What we had in 2 years will happen in 3 months, and it will overwhelm our hospitals.
But hitting peak case numbers isn't all bad. Peaks set off a downward trend of COVID cases as the disease starts to run out of people to infect. UW health leaders say the light at the end of the tunnel is just around the corner.
It will be the beginning of the end, March, April, and we should go back to what's really normal with a virus like this virus.
While Dr. Mokdad says the pandemic could see an end by March or April, that doesn't mean that COVID will be gone completely. Once the pandemic gets under control, COVID will still be around, but in a more manageable way, similar to how people still get sick from measles or influenza in seasonal waves. To break it down what we're seeing by county, Dr. Velasquez of Spokane Regional Health says King County is expected to hit their peak by the end of the month. And typically, Eastern Washington follows Western Washington trends about 2 to 3 weeks later. So he says that's when we should begin to see a downward trend in case numbers on this side of the state. In the newsroom, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
Janelle, thank you very much. Also, you can now order free COVID tests online. Today, the White House opened the federal website covidtest.gov. So the official launches tomorrow, but officials say it's already working in a limited capacity. The Biden administration say it actually went live a day early just to make sure there weren't any technical problems.
Supplies are limited to 4 tests per household. The tests are expected to ship within 7 to 12 days after you order. For a link to sign up for those 4 free tests, just visit or text the word test rather to 509-448-2000 and we'll send that link directly to your phone.
And the White House is now accepting orders for those free tests. Again, you can actually just go to our website, krem.com. We've got the link directly to that website. 5G wireless service will not be rolled out tomorrow like it was supposed to. The reason behind that delay is coming up next.